I am often accused of expressing contempt and despising religious people. I don't despise religious people, I despise what they stand for. I like to quote the British journalist Johann Hari, who said, I have no contempt for you, I have so much respect for you that I cannot respect your ridiculous ideas. The electromagnetic spectrum runs all the way from extremely long wave, radio wave end of the spectrum to gamma rays at the very short wave end of the spectrum. And visible light, that which we can see, is a tiny little sliver in the middle of that electromagnetic spectrum. Science has broadened out our perception of that spectrum to long-wave radio waves on the one hand and gamma rays on the other. I take that as being symbolic of what science does generally. It takes our little vision, our little parochial small vision, and broadens it out. And that is a magnificent vision for what science can do. Science makes us see what we couldn't see before. Religion does its best to snuff out even that light which we can see. So we're here to stand up for reason, to stand up for science, to stand up for logic, to stand up for the beauty of reality and the beauty of the fact that we can understand reality. I hope that this meeting will be a turning point. I'm sure many people have said that already. I like to think of the physical analogy of a critical mass. There are too many people in this country who have been cowed into fear of coming out as atheists or secularists or agnostics. We are far more numerous than anybody realizes. We are approaching a tipping point. We're approaching that critical mass where the number of people who have come out becomes so great that suddenly everybody will realize, I can come out too. And that moment is not far away now, and I think that with hindsight, this rally in Washington will be seen as a very significant tipping point on the road. And I would particularly appeal to my scientific colleagues, most of whom are atheists. If you look at the members of the National Academy of Sciences, about 90% of them are non-believers, an exact mirror image of the official figures of the country at large. If you look at the Royal Society of London, the equivalent for the British Commonwealth, again, about 90% of them are atheists. But they mostly keep quiet about it. They're not ashamed of it, they just can't be bothered to come out and express what they feel. They think religion is just simply boring, and they're not going to bother to even stand up and oppose it. They need to come out. Religion is an important phenomenon. 40% at least of the American population, according to opinion polls, think that the world, the universe indeed, is less than 10,000 years old. That's not just an error, that's a preposterous error. I've done the calculation before, and it's equivalent to believing that the width of North America from Washington to San Francisco is equal to about 8 yards. I don't know that I believe that 40% figure. It stands up. It's been apparently so for about ever since the 1980s. But what I want to suggest you do when you meet somebody who claims to be religious, ask them what they really believe. If you meet somebody who says he's Catholic, for example, say, what do you mean? Do you just mean you were baptized Catholic? Because I'm not impressed by that. We just ran a poll, my foundation in Britain just ran a poll in Britain in which we took those people who had ticked the Christian box in the census, and by the way, that figure has come down dramatically. We just took the people who ticked the Christian box, and we asked them, why did you tick the Christian box? And the most popular answer to that question was, oh, well, I like to think of myself as a good person. Well, we all like to think of ourselves as good people. Atheists do, Jews do, Muslims do. So when you meet somebody who claims to be Christian, ask her, ask him, what do you really believe? And I think you'll find that in many cases they give you an answer which is no more convincing than that I like to be a good person. By the way, when we went on to ask a specific question of these only 54%, what do you do when you're faced with a moral dilemma? Where do you turn? Only 10% turned to their religion when trying to solve a moral question. Only 10%. The majority of them said, I turn to my innate sense of goodness. And the next most popular answer was, I turn for advice to relatives and friends. So when I meet somebody who claims to be religious, my first impulse is, don't believe you. I don't believe you until you tell me, do you really believe, for example, if they say they're Catholic, do you really believe that when a priest blesses a wafer, it turns into the body of Christ? Are you seriously telling me you believe that? Are you seriously saying that wine turns into blood? Mock them, ridicule them. In public, don't fall for the convention that we're all too polite to talk about religion. Religion is not off the table. Religion is not off limits. Religion makes specific claims about the universe which need to be substantiated and need to be challenged and, if necessary, need to be ridiculed with contempt. I want to echo what my colleagues from the Richard Dawkins Foundation have said. I am an outsider, but we're well-staffed in America, and we're going to spread the word along with our colleagues in other organizations throughout the length and breadth of this land which is the fountainhead, the birthplace of secularism in the world. And as I said before, let's let that tradition down. Thank you very much.